What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm making a video that I was hoping I would never do, but here we are. As you saw from the title, I ended up crashing my S15 last weekend in training in Italy. It's a very cool track, very cool vibe, but the track is very unforgiving. There's walls everywhere, right at the edge of the track. So as soon as you get off the line, you're into the wall, just like Long Beach in Formula Drift. So it's very unforgiving, and sure enough, I made a mistake and ended up into the wall on the left side. I'll go over the damage real quick with you guys. I just got back, so I'm not actually sure what the extent of the damage is so far. So we'll investigate it together and start rebuilding. As I said in the last video, I have a competition in about 1 month. So I have a month to get this thing back up and running. It's quite the challenge. As you'll see, there's a lot of damage, and I just hope that we can make it work. But either way, I'll do my best and keep you guys in the loop. Should be a pretty fun one for you guys. A little bit less from me, but it's part of the game, and I'm sure every drifter ended up touching the wall at some point. So this is just my time. So let's go have a look at the car. There's really not much going on this side. That didn't take any damage other than this quarter being pushed out a little bit from the sport bar there. But the left side is where all the damage happened. As you can see, the entire left suspension is toast, so all the arms, the strut, the hub is broken, the wheel's broken, the disc is broken. Basically everything on the left side is gone. And the structure here is completely smushed. From about here on, it looks straight, so I don't think that the roof structure or any of the side here moved. The door still functions as it should, so I don't think there's any damage there. But then in the front is where the rest of the damage is. As you can see, the wheel's broken, the hub is broken, all the suspension arms as well, strut. Same thing as in the rear, I guess. Now in the engine bay, the engine is fine. I was able to start it, and I didn't run it very long, but it runs. The only damage I've seen up here is the strut tower being pushed in a little bit. There's a bit of a kink or a nick there. So strut tower needs to be brought out again, and hopefully that's the only structural damage in the front. I know the subframe also took a hit, but overall, for the kind of impact that we took, I think we're pretty lucky. And I tried to push the rear end into the wall first to try and absorb a bit more of the impact. But luckily we have really good seats in here, Sparco, with the ears. So that definitely helped keep our helmets from hitting the cage. The cage did amazing. There's no bends or nothing I've seen so far. It stayed right where it should be. Dashboard is fine. But I have to say we were pretty shook after the impact. Nothing major, just a couple of bruises. So maybe let's use this as a reminder to always wear safety gear, because it does make a difference, and I'm happy we were wearing all the proper gear and we were able to walk away from this. Now looking at it from the underside, this is where we can see all the damage. Starting over here, broken hub, bent control arms, there, that one over there, the top one. Basically all the control arms are bent. The anchoring points of the subframe here and there seem to be straight. I don't see any bend in the subframe or in the chassis around those points. So those are definitely going to be the harder or more stable parts of the subframe and the chassis. So that's a good sign. Again, here's a look at the hub. You can see maybe the disc here being snapped in half. Yeah, right there. I noticed that the exhaust moved a little bit. So just before last weekend, I welded this reinforcement bracket, which used to be straight, and now I see some bends in it. So I'm not sure if it was the force of the transmission hitting on the side or if it's the exhaust itself that got pushed in. But yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to check later. Now over here, we have more damage. The upright is snapped in half up here. The tie rod is bent right there. This arm was also tweaked and pushed into the subframe here. It actually moved like that. And you can see here it's kind of hitting the subframe. So definitely something wrong. This looks fine, those supports look fine, and my suspension got broken right there against the wheel. And if you look at the frame right there, there is a big hit from the wheel, and it actually broke the factory pinch welds. And other than that, the rest of the front looks okay. So the plan at this point is to remove all the broken parts off the chassis so I can actually see the extent of the damage on the chassis itself. I might leave the subframes in just for stability purposes, and if we need to pull some of the parts out, like the strut towers, so we don't tweak anything else. But all the suspension arms, the wheel hubs, the body, everything can go at this point. It's all broken anyways. So I'm gonna start removing all that stuff, and hopefully we don't have any bad surprises. All right, I have a lot of body panels removed from the car, and I can see the metal now. It looks pretty bad, but it's a lot of sheet metal that is very soft and non-structural. So this entire thing here, this entire surface can be cut off the car, and the rest underneath doesn't look too bad. Up until here, everything is straight, and then the corner here has been pushed in, so that's something that needs to be pulled out. I saw a little bit of displacement of the strut tower, but very minor, because there is actually a strut support coming from one side to the other inside the car, and that held everything together. Nothing bent over there, and all the anchor points from the subframe are fine. So all overall, not too bad in the rear. And in the front, I roughly measured the strut tower, and it did move by like 1.5 centimeters or so inside of the car. You can actually see here, this is supposed to be in the center of the hole there, and the entire strut tower, not the strut tower, the top hat of the suspension is completely bent. So I might show it later, because it's kind of hard at this point, but you can imagine the wheel got pushed in, pushed on the suspension, and the top of the suspension pushed into the strut tower. So that's what happened there. And then the big one is this piece of metal here. This sheet got pushed in by the wheel. So the welds here snapped off, and this sheet is a little bit bent. So I'm gonna have to measure everything carefully here as we pull it back out. But otherwise, this frame rail seems okay. So it looks like the damage can be fixed, and I'm gonna try my absolute best for the next month. But it really pains me to see the car like this. I think anyone who's had or has a project car can relate. You don't want to see something that you invest so much time and effort and money into, and that is so unique, that you build to your exact specifications, end up like this. So I'm kind of crying inside as I remove the pieces, but I think it's all for the best in the end. The car will come back stronger with a better setup, and ultimately I'll have learned a ton, and I think there's a positive in everything. So let's just get through it and get this thing back on the road as soon as possible. All right. I made a lot of room, and I can actually see the damage now. It looks bad, but it's not that bad. So I've measured the strut tower from one side to the other, and I'm missing about 1 centimeter. So this got pushed in a little bit. The one thing I noticed as well is there's a bit of a fold here and some cracked metal here, whereas the other side is all clean. So I think nothing moved here. It's just this that got pushed in, so I can probably bring it back out and reinforce it. This is not really important to me. What I really care about is the strut tower and the anchor points for the subframe. What I'll do is I'll probably hook something in here and pull it out just that 1 centimeter. And that should do the trick. Everything else from here on will be cut out. So the only area of sheet metal that I need to take care of is this corner here, so that the rear window can seal properly. But this doesn't look too bad. It's pretty flimsy as well, so I can probably just pull it out nicely. And on the right side, everything got pushed out a bit from here on to here, so nothing from here to the front got damaged, so that's all good. And as I said, I'm cutting around here anyways, so I'm not too worried about any of this stuff. So the way I always think about it is, if you have a sheet of paper and you smash it completely like the S15 right now, when you pull it back out, if you pull little bit by little bit and you leave everything intact, it will eventually unfold nicely and you can use the paper again. Whereas if you crunch it up and then you destroy it and you cut it up because you want to make room in the chassis, well, then you're left with all these pieces and you have to unfold them individually. And yeah, sure, some bits will unfold nicely, but you unfold this one and these won't move. So this is what I'm trying to avoid. Basically, I'm trying to replicate the impact, but in the inverse direction. So that's why all the metal is still there. Alright guys, check this out. I was able to move this strut tower to the right about 1.5 centimeters, and I took measurements mainly from this hole right there to that hole, and that's perfect. And when I do the same on the other side, boom, and boom, right there. Perfect too. So this is now square, and I've taken the same measurement also between that hole, and that's perfect. And there's an additional one that I can take from here to there and here to there, and that's pretty good too. I think that one might be a millimeter off or 2 millimeters off on this side. And there's one last measurement I'm taking from this hole to that hole, and this one, it's pretty close, but I think it's about 3 or 4 millimeters out that way. What I think happened is my strut tower twisted a little bit, so that measurement relative to this one may not be exactly how it used to be. So to me, what's more important is the strut tower, so I wanted to line this up perfectly, and I don't really care so much about that hole. That's just holding the bodywork, and as you can see, the bodywork is a bit of a fluid concept at this point. So I can always move this hole in the body panels, but this, for the suspension, has to be as straight as possible. So I think it's pretty good now. The only thing I need to reinforce is going to be down here. As I showed before, this has been torn apart, so I need to reinforce that. And I'll probably add a couple of supports in the back here, just to make sure that this doesn't fold again. And otherwise, I think the front is looking pretty good. And in the back, you saw me cut the rear clamshell off, and I think it's looking a lot better now. I was able to line up this body line pretty well. The bottom is okay, and that frame rail is looking pretty bad, but it's going to get cut about right there. So not too worried about it. I was able to pull that part back out. It's still looking a bit crumbled up, but as you can see here, there's a big gap. So this part kind of stayed attached there, and the rest moved out. So the position of the outside skin is perfect. I just need to go and reinforce this, and it's not going to look perfect, but good enough for a drift car. The only area I'm left with that I still need to work on is this corner right there. The position is pretty good, but it's pushed down a little bit. So if you look at the window, it seals pretty good all the way there, and then here there's a bit of a gap, same down here. So I kind of need to pull this back up. But that's not a big issue, and it's not structural anyways. So yeah, looking pretty good, and I think I can keep going with the little adjustments here and there until I can actually start rebuilding the structure underneath. All right, so fast forward a couple of days. I've not filmed any of this because I'm in major time crunch. I just have a couple of days left to finish this car, so pushing as hard as I can. I've finished the entire rear quarters and arches, so it's all sealed up nicely and basically smoke tight to avoid the smoke coming back in the cabin, which was a big issue with this car before. So I've finished everything up to here. This is still open. I just need to patch it up. And I've kept my fuel door to help with the placement of the quarters. And now I'm working on the rear structure. So this is what I've got so far. I bought this structure from MMG Motorsports. So there's not really a right and wrong way of doing this. But the way I'm going about it is I want to push it in as far as I can for a couple of reasons. First reason being that I want the main structure to be as far in as possible to give me the most amount of crunch room before actually hitting this in case of a crash. The other reason is this frame rail is a bit damaged, so the further in I push it, the more of the frame rail I can cut out. And as you can see here, this is quite banged up, and just by going a couple more centimeters in, I can get rid of all this section. So I think right around there looks pretty good to me. I still need to square it up and actually cut the frame rails and do that stuff. But that's the next step. And once this is done, I'll attack the firewall. So since I'm putting a fuel cell, I think either there or there, I do need to create a firewall between the cabin and the fuel cell. So I'm gonna do that probably right at the end of the strut towers and then go up to the rear window. So yeah, there's been a lot of work and there is still a lot to go. So let's keep pushing. And here's the crash bar all welded up, and I actually just added some welded nuts in the back here so I don't have to actually hold them to remove the bar. So yeah, that's all good to go. Now I can remove it, work on the firewall, and we should be good to go. So time for another progress update. I've finished the firewall completely and the little box for the fuel tank. So everything is welded around. It should be completely tight. I've not cleaned up anything yet, but pretty happy with the result. And I have my fuel tank here, which I should be able to throw right in here. So something like that. I still need to build off some brackets for the front of the fuel tank, and I have some little grommets or rubber spacers for the fuel tank. So this can sit on here, and basically it kind of disconnects it from the chassis so it doesn't crack the welds or shake the fuel too much with the vibrations. So that's pretty good. So what's left to do now, I need to cap off the ends of the quarter panels. I've started on this side and I've actually put a little bracket here. It's the same shape as the quarter panel, just shifted down a little bit and out, so that I can actually bolt the fiberglass rear end right on there, and it's actually shifted down so the fiberglass will be flush with the metal. So I need to do that on the other side and cap off this side as well. I also want to add a support between these two mounting points so they don't collapse in case of a crash. So I'm going to do that and the bracket for the fuel tank probably first, cap off the ends, and then bolt the structure back on and see what kind of mounting brackets I need to do for everything else that will be back here. So yeah, it's moving along nicely. It's just a ton of work, so let's keep going. All right, good progress is being made. I've just finished mounting the radiator and it fits pretty good, as you can see here. I'm not going to have any clearance issue with the trunk, but I did have to mount it pretty low inside the chassis. So if you can tell there, it's about at the lowest point that I would ever want the radiator to be on a drift car. The reason is that this was not the radiator I ordered for this car. That was the one for the Drift Supra, which is in the back there. So it's not really designed for an S chassis, and it's way too high, but the other one didn't arrive, so I had to make this one work. For now, I'm starting to mount the water pump, which is right here. This thing will mount approximately here in this structure, a little bit away from the fans, but ultimately the way I want to run my lines is I have both outlets on this side, one on top, one at the bottom. Top one will be the return, so that one will go probably from around here. There will be a hole with the line going there, 90 degrees in, And then that one will come out here with the 90-degree, go to the pump, and then the pump will send it back this way and back down the same hole, and I will have just aluminum pipes going to the engine. All right, so a lot of progress has been made. As you can see, everything is painted in the rear. I decided to go just one color because I don't have enough time, but later I will repaint the quarters and maybe this piece as well in purple. But for now, this is how it's going to be. Most of the quarters are hidden by the over fenders anyways, so you probably won't see any of this in the end. So yeah, everything came out pretty good. I added a couple of things like a fuel filler and then some supports for coolant expansion tank, and everything is looking so fresh. I love this. Quarters are good. We painted underneath as well, and obviously the interior as well, which looks a bit weird with it being gray and yellow right now. That's also going to change in the future. I'm hoping to do a full respray of the interior with the gray to match the rest, probably next season. The inside of the front was also painted and fixed in here, so that's all looking good. Now I can start reassembling. Here's a quick update on the subframes. They've both gone through a lot of work. The rear subframe has been reinforced in all the key areas. The front subframe has gone through a steering rack relocation from Wisefab. As you can see here, this plate. So this places the steering rack about 4 centimeters further forward. Here you can see the old bracket. So if you imagine the subframe being on this side, this is where the steering rack would mount, and now it's basically all the way up here. So that was a bit of a job, but it came out super good, and I think it's going to really help the handling performance of the car. I was getting some bind at full lock, and this is supposed to eliminate that. So now I can actually start putting the engine back on the subframe, and same with the rear diff, and slowly put the suspension arms on it, and hopefully put it back on the shell pretty soon. All right, what's up guys? So I stopped filming after a certain point. It got way too intense. I was struggling to finish the car in time, so I got the team down here and we worked on this thing for 3 days straight, no sleep, and we barely just managed to finish the car in time for DriftCup 2025. So now we're actually back from DriftCup, and the car is right in front of me. I'll show it to you in a sec, but it performed super well. We're really happy with everything we've done and super proud of the work that went into it. So I can't wait to show you guys, but you'll see a lot has changed. And although I didn't qualify, I'm super happy with the result. The car ran amazing, and I only had 2 runs of practice before doing the qualifiers, so I couldn't really get into it. But despite this, we had a blast, and the car is so good. It has a lot of potential. Just a few things to tweak here and there, but it's ready to shred some tires. So this is the current state of the car. It's pretty much complete. Just a couple of things to button up here and there. I'll show you inside also without the trunk. There you can see what we ended up with. So no wing. I will add this in the future. And also missing the side skirts. Other than that, it's pretty much complete. The whole front is the same as before. And the rear, let me get the trunk off. There, now you guys can see the beautiful work that we did. It's a bit dirty. I haven't cleaned it since the race, but it's all there. So a couple of things that I finished up at the track was the wiring. So now my wiring goes through here, through the firewall, down, and to the individual components. We also had to zip tie the rear bumper on because I'm missing the brackets. I cut them off of the old rear, but no time to put them on. So I'm gonna have to fix that in the future. Other than that, the quick fueling works really well. Everything worked amazing. So there was no mechanical issue whatsoever. The only thing I did was I turned off one of the two pumps inside of the surge tank. I had way enough flow with just one since I'm on pump gas. And on the inside, so I've put all of my fuses and relays right there by the firewall. It's kind of hard to see, maybe.
Yeah, there we go.
So it's a little bit of an improvised setup, but it worked. And I didn't have time to wire my electric water pump to the ECU, so I just added a little switch here. So I just had to remember to turn this on every time I went on track. Otherwise, it would overheat. But no issue there. So I will wire this in the future into the ECU. And yeah, that's it. The car is still in one piece. There wasn't any crash or anything bad with it. And actually, some of the biggest upgrades that I've seen from this version to the previous was the Wisefab front and rear suspension kits. They're amazing. They're so much better than what I had before. So I had the Wisefab before in the front, not in the rear. And the front was the V1. This is now the V2. Small differences, but they do play a big role in the overall feeling of the car. So as you can see here, this is where the top of the suspension is now, and it used to be up there. So that moved quite a bit. And I kept the same alignment settings. So this change means that the bottom of my knuckle also moved by that much towards the rear of the car. Effectively, what happened is I ended up scrubbing or scraping against the inside of my fenders here. And so I had to cut them a little bit wider. So that effectively reduced the wheelbase, which makes the car a little bit more snappy, a little bit more reactive. So I can't wait to actually play more with this and feel how the car reacts. But I kind of liked that snappy feeling. And in the rear, I upgraded to a 265 width of tires, and obviously the whole Wisefab rear knuckle kit, which that works super well. It is super adjustable. You can set basically 0 camber gain, 0 toe gain if you'd like, or anything positive, negative from there. So you can really play with this and get the exact settings that you want. And I'm really happy with it. Just setting it in this base form, base setting, I think it reacted really good. I had a ton of grip in the rear, actually probably a little bit too much, but I'm happy this way, and I think I just need to get used to how the car feels now, because before I had the stock knuckles, and that had a lot of camber gain, and basically I would lose a lot of grip when the car squatted. So now this is a lot more controllable, and I do feel a big difference in the grip that I can get. I also wanted to give you guys a quick look at the underside, because I think it's beautiful and it's all finished finally. So we've got the Wisefab with the BC suspension, got my water lines running through here. You can see the fuel cell recessed areas there. Fuel system goes through here, water lines go down. They go on each side of the steering column, because there was no room otherwise, and up to the engine. Then we've got the front Wisefab V2 with the steering rack relocation, and that's pretty much it. So that's it for the car right now. I'm gonna put up a few clips of this weekend so you guys can see what it looks like and what it sounds like. I think this RB sounds amazing. The Walton Motorsport manifold is absolutely incredible. Everyone was turning around, taking videos, and even the judges were saying how sick it sounds. So yeah, either way, we put up a good show, and enjoy the clips. See you in the next one. Peace!
Là, alors on va pas se mentir, c'est presque le meilleur âge pour commencer. C'est l'expérience arrive, et arrivé aux alentours de 17-18 ans, ils sont au top niveau. Et lors du Pasquier, la Nissan S15 du team Swiss Tuned. En tout cas, ça rugit vraiment. Ça marche très très fort. Ah, pas mal d'anxiété, peut-être un petit peu trop. Ouais, forcément, il va s'intérioriser beaucoup. Eh, c'est beau, ça fume bien.